Good evening. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for a long time now, as well as those who are new to the Wi-Fi project. Today marks our final summit, and we are proud to be able to host it today here at this wonderful way with all of you. Wi-Fi Summit is the final and national level event of the Wi-Fi project promoting forgiveness, tolerance, and trust among youth for freedom of religion or belief. This is the culmination of the project, which was funded by the United States Embassy in Sri Lanka, with the administered by Sri Lanka Unites and implemented by Resilience Research, Training and Consulting. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously helped us make this event come together to become a success. Dr. Noel Vijay, Mr. Nuwan Subasinghe, we couldn't have done it without you. In today's gathering, I would like to focus on all our new volunteers who have joined us since the beginning of the project. Thank you very much for listening, and let me welcome our honorable guest, US Embassy to Sri Lanka and Maldives, Maureen Ahmad, and Sri Lanka Unites represented by Mrs. Jitendra Gomez, and our guest speakers for today, Dr. Pratibha Mahana Maheva, Professor Kalinga Tudor Silva, and Mrs. Manal Jayamana, who join with us, make this a success. And all the invitees and participants a very warm welcome to marks our final summit.
ඉබේ විශ්වාස කිරීමේ සහ ඉවසීමේ මානුෂීය ගුණාංග තාරුණ්‍ය තුළ රෝපණය කරමින් තමත් ආගමක් ඇදහිීමේ සහ කැමති විශ්වාසයක් දරා සිටීමේ නිදහස මල්පල ගන්වන වස් ආරම්භ දීර්ඝ චාරිකාවේ අවසන් අධීරය ආරම්භ කිරීමටයි මේ සූදානම්. තම කාර්යබහුල කාලරාමුව තුළ මෙම සමාජ කර්තව්‍ය වෙනුවෙන් අප සමග එක්වන ගෞරවනීය ආරාධිත අමුත්තන් සම්ප්‍රදාය සහ අද දින මෙම වැඩසටහන සහභාගී වන ඔබ සියලු දෙනා සාදරයෙන් පිළිගනිමු. ජනපද තානාපති කාර්යාලයේ මූල්‍යමය අනුග්‍රහයත් ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුනිට්ස් ආයතනයේ පරිපාලනයත් පෙරදරි කරගනිමින් Resilience Research Training and Consulting ආයතනයේ විසින් ක්‍රියාවට නැංවූ ව්‍යාපෘතියේ ඌට ප්‍රාප්තියයි මේ.
மன்னித்தல், நம்பிக்கை வைத்தல் மற்றும் பொறுமையாகிய மனித பண்புகளை இளைஞர்களுக்குள் போஷித்து விரும்பிய மதத்தை வழிபடுத்தல் மற்றும் விரும்பியவற்றை நம்பிக்கை கொள்வதற்கான சுதந்திரத்தை புதுப்பிப்பதற்காக ஆரம்பிக்கப்பட்ட இந்த நீண்ட பயணத்தின் இறுதிக்கட்டத்தை ஆரம்பிப்பதற்கான ஆயத்தமே இது. அமெரிக்க ஐக்கிய ராச்சியத்தின் தூதரக அலுவலகத்தின் அனுசரணை மற்றும் ஒன்று கூடுவோம் இலங்கை நிர்வாகத்தின் தலைமையில் ரெசிலியன்ஸ் ரிசர்ச் ட்ரைனிங் அண்ட் கன்சல்டிங் நிறுவனத்தின் ஊடாக செயற்பட்டு வந்த செயற்றிட்டத்தின் ஆரம்பமே இதுவாகும். தமது வேலைப்பளுக்களுக்கு மத்தியில் இந்த சமூக சேவைக்காக எங்களுடன் இணைந்து கொள்ளும் அனைவரையும் அன்புடன் வரவேற்கின்றோம்.
Now, I cordially invite our project director, Dr. Noel Vijay, to give a wonderful welcome to our invitees and explain about the project overview.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It is a great pleasure for me to have all of you and welcome all of you for this wonderful evening of freedom of religion or belief with youth of Sri Lanka. It has been a great honor to be
America's first liberty. It's codified in both the body of the U.S. Constitution and in the very first words of the First Amendment, along with other fundamental rights. And it remains a principle that America holds in its highest regard to this day. Closely connected to religious freedom is the need of those of different faiths or those who practice no faith to live in harmony with one another. The United States Embassy has been a longtime supporter of reconciliations here in Sri Lanka. We do this out of a firm belief that there is strength in diversity and there is peace in communal harmony. Interfaith understanding, respect, and reconciliation are all inextricably linked. In countries where freedom of religion are stifled and where communities of different faiths and backgrounds are divided, tensions simmer and they ignite, and the society cannot reach its fullest potential. Sri Lanka is a rich mixture of cultures and of faiths, and significant progress has been made within this country towards reconciliation following the Civil War, and there remains more work to be done. Many of you participating in this program this evening represent the post-war generation. And as such, you are uniquely positioned to embrace the interfaith understanding and respect that's needed to propel the country even further forward. Societies that embrace and safeguard religious freedom are more stable, they're more economically vibrant, and they're more peaceful. I very much look forward to the rest of this evening's summit and learning the winners of the FORB competition. 1,400 respondents, keen competition, tremendous input, which is very impressive. The summit represents the culmination of months of hard work by everyone here and a number of others. But as Dr. Butcher-Sakara noted a moment ago, it really marks the beginning for some of you, or perhaps a milestone partway through the work of others here this evening. So I encourage each of you to continue the work that you've been engaged in over the last several months. Now that this program is concluding and you can enter another phase, another stage of your efforts towards reconciliation and freedom of religion. Promoting religious freedom, closing gaps between communities, and building connections that perhaps did not previously exist. These are difficult endeavors, but they're worth it. They take years, oftentimes they take generations, but they can pave the way for future generations to enjoy a more just, peaceful, and prosperous country. So I'll conclude my remarks this evening with a quote from U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. He recently noted that religious freedom is a human right, and in fact, it goes to the heart of what it means to be human, to think freely, to follow our conscience, and to change our beliefs if our hearts and our minds lead us to do so. I thank all of you for the work you're doing towards this end. I wish you all the best health and the very best success in your future endeavors. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. So, our next event is the presentation of the FORB survey report by Mr. Novan Subasinghe, the lead consultant of the FORB online survey. Now, this platform is yours to talk about the nationwide survey, which was conducted to understand youth ideas in order to promote freedom of religion or belief amongst youths.
Thank you, Pasna. Good evening to you all. Let me share my screen. Yes. This is the online survey that we have conducted, the Youth on Freedom of Religion or Beliefs in Sri Lanka online. So as Dr. Noel said, this by Youth for Youth, team of youth that we did this survey. This is my.
We are jointly, we have to face this. And a lot of incidents are there in Sri Lanka. I'll take in my next speech how these things should be going together. So youth parliament, they can take this together. As I will explain all these international conventions as well as the Sri Lanka constitution, how freedom of belief and also respect of other religions are. Only one thing I am telling, why this 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights introduced respect others, and they existed. If you respect other individuals, you are alternatively protecting other community souls. So we have to reach the SDG goals. In the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, one is religion. So therefore, this is a timely intervention, this FORB Summit 2021, and I highly appreciate And I thank you very much inviting me. And in the second session, I will give more details with case studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So as second speaker, I invite Professor Kalinga Tudor Silva to deliver your speech under your perspective of freedom of religion or belief in Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all of you. Firstly, let me thank Dr. Novil Vijaysekara and Mr. Nuwan Subasinghe for inviting me to this event. I'm very happy to be part of it. First of all, happy to interact with and talk to a lot of young people in the audience. I think they are the future of the country. And I'm very happy that I got opportunity to contribute to this very valuable summit. I was asked to talk primarily on the role of values and what role the values should play in promoting freedom of religion and belief. And before that, I want to make two preliminary points. One is my own upbringing. I'm actually from down south in a small town called Baddegama. I was brought up in a Sinhala Buddhist family, but I went to school, to a Christian school, very small Christian school in my town. So I got exposed to Christianity. Actually, most of the people who were studying with me were Buddhist, but some of our teachers were Christian. So actually, this goes on to show that we are very much living in a multi-religious, as Professor Pratibha Mahanama said, in a multi-religious kind of environment. That is our day-to-day experience. So we should actually benefit from it. And perhaps this summit will help us, foster that kind of idea. I'm also very happy about the survey you have done, and it's very timely, especially using an online survey. And I feel that, in the current juncture, you can't meet people, you can't do field work. But one thing you can do in the available environment is to do this kind of online survey. I'm very happy that you have got good response from the audience. And as I think explained to Mr. Subasinghe some time ago, we in fact in University of Peradeniya did a similar online survey on religiosity of people during the pandemic. What we found is that, religions actually played a major role during the pandemic in terms of relief, in terms of actually providing guidance and counseling to people, but also in promoting trust for the most part. And this is not much documented in any kind of official documentation or media, but we also plan to bring out this publication. What we found in our studies, quite similar to what you found. But in our survey, actually, we primarily targeted faith actors at the regional level, which means both the lay and religious priests who were directly involved in the pandemic response. So those are two kind of important preliminary points I want to mention. With regard to the topic that I'm expected to talk about, values, I think values are very important. Now you heard Professor Pratibha Mahanama talking about laws. Now laws, of course, comes from law books, and it addresses rationality. Laws are very important guide for human behavior, and young people should definitely know the laws. But when we talk about values, we talk about also guides for human behavior, but it comes from the heart rather than the mind and the brain. It comes from the heart because people believe in certain important values. So our actually challenge is, how to promote or how to make sure that we cultivate the right values at various levels in the school curriculum, in social media. I also fully agree that social media must play an important role in promoting right values. Actually, as part of the study that I referred to, we also did the assessment of social media, and we found for the most part, actually, social media promotes misinformation and wrong values because there is no monitoring, and it's people can actually misuse it a lot. So perhaps it will be up to an organization like yours to educate young people about social media and how to use it responsibly, and how to cultivate mutual understanding and respect for each other through this media. I think there are a lot of prospects for doing that, basically influencing values of young people. And the values, as I told you earlier, come from the heart, but actually it comes from religious values, maybe cultural values. It comes from, religious texts, like Tripitaka or, Vedas or Bible or Quran. They obviously try to cultivate right values, but those values must be reinforced continuously through the education process. Like just by educating people about values, it does not necessarily plant them in the heart. As I said earlier, people should fully understand why these values are important, and how to actually utilize these values and how to respond to them, and how to not only have a kind of dialogue about values within yourself, within your own heart and mind, but also with your peers, with your friends in school and outside school. Values should affect actually the entire life, not just faith, just your behavior, your politics, the way you relate to each other, the way actually you understand problems. And the most important thing about the values, I think the three values that you FORB has been trying to cultivate are very important values from that viewpoint. I think I got it like forgiveness, tolerance, and trust are very important values. Trust is very, very important. Actually, when we talk about the youth and even the elderly people in our country, they don't seem to have a great deal of trust in systems, all systems, whether it is government or whether it is transport service. People, for some reason, I think they have become fairly disillusioned about systems, and how to build that trust is very important. And what role civil society should play, what role the religion should play, what role the education should play, and also what role the mass media should play, and social media. I think we need to look at it very, very closely. And the issue of trust is actually is very important in building trust among different communities. And one important value which I would also add to this list would be the value of diversity. Different people in different religions have different faiths, different beliefs, and we have to respect them. We may not necessarily accept some of those values, but we have to respect them. And diversity is very important. I think this came up in this recent issue about the burial rights of Muslims. Muslims have been traditionally and also according to their faith have been burying the dead people. And in the pandemic response, perhaps without sufficient thinking about it, so sufficient consultation, the state introduced a ban on burial, and this obviously had a negative impact on young people, so this is one instance where actually values and diversity comes up very quickly. I will elaborate the other values in the next round of presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And as the third speaker, I invite Mrs. Manal Jamanna to deliver the speech under your perspective of freedom of religion or belief in Sri Lanka. For the first round of the roundtable session, you are given 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. I have the topic gender in freedom of religion. First, let me outline what I mean in certain terms, like what is religion, what is gender, and in connection with those two terms, the social institutions we have. Religion is a kind of belief, actually, or existence of a supernatural power, some various systems of faith. We here in Sri Lanka, even in the world, Christians, Hindu, Islam, and they all believe in one God. It is God-based religion or faith. One variation I know is the Buddhism does not believe in a God. Anyway, religion is some, I will talk about this in detail later. The religions are given when we are born. That is my understanding. When we are born to a certain family and we accept, we are brought up in that environment, so we become a member of that belief or faith and the religion. So there is no choice for us to select our own religion unless later on one may decide to change it and even become an atheist, not to believe any religion. Okay. Then what is gender? I think this is a term that we confuse very often. Gender is different from sex. Sex is a biological distinction between man and woman. We are either born as a woman or a man. There are certain differences of biological distinction also. I do not want to go into details, but gender is something given in the society. It refers to personal traits of a person. Gender roles we talk about, those are given by the society or our community, and that's how our responsibilities and activities we perform in the society or the community depend. We normally think men are physically stronger than the women, so therefore they are the better leaders, political leaders, business magnates, and engineers and high-powered people. They are more fit to become leaders, but women are considered as physically weak. They need protection from men. At the same time, they should be protected by men. These are social norms. But very often it is in our society, women are more fit to take secondary roles. The questions of we discuss these days are that because of these gender roles given by the society acquired after your birth, there are gender issues that we talk about. Gender discrimination is a term that we hear, gender inequality, subordination, and even marginalization, multiple burden. Actually, if you take a woman, hold, she has to undertake multiple tasks at home and in the society, at workplace and everywhere. Then the last term I want to say about gender is the violence that we hear in the society. As a Buddhist, born Buddhist, I can say something about the Buddhism, how gender is treated or considered in Buddhism. Buddhism, actually, the Lord Buddha did not preach any difference or differentiation or discrimination. What his message was, believe nothing. Therefore, do not believe even Lord Buddha. Abolish your own ignorance. Only yourself can do it. There are no other outside forces to bring your liberation. However, he prescribed a strict code of conduct similar to 10 commandments. So therefore, Buddhism is considered or treated wrongly as a religion. But Buddhism is actually a philosophy or rather than a religion. How gender is treated in Buddhism, even Lord Buddha did not give equal status to women. Maybe that depended, it must have been due to the historical period at that time, but he gave a lot of freedom for women's advancement. He gave equal status, sometimes superior status for bhikkhunis, the women monks. My concern is not the historical perspective, but my concern is what's happening today in Buddhism also. There's very strong discrimination against women. For instance, bhikkhunis, the women monks, are not given the same status of male monks. So I'm sure you must have heard the tooth relic, sacred tooth relic was brought to Sri Lanka from India by hiding in the hair of a woman, a princess. But now a woman can't go closer to that tooth relic. Even holy sacred bow tree was brought by a female monk, a Sangamita, but we have no way of going closer to that tree. So there is discrimination. The bhikkhunis are highly worried because they don't get similar status like bhikkhus. Gender in Christianity, I read a book by Father Tissa Balasurya, Maria Tumiya Saha Manav Vimuktiya. It may be somewhat radical, but what he says is, in their religion, Catholics honor Mother Mary. They believe Blessed Mary, Virgin Mary. She was granted special privileges by God. Father Oswald Gomez says these privileges are, listen very carefully, divine motherhood, immaculate conception, perpetual virginity before and after childbirth. This perpetual virginity implies an element of some discrimination, which I do not want to go into details. Anyway, Catholic Church still does not allow women to hold Holy Mass. I don't see whether they have bishops and cardinals, not even a pope. All are male in that sense. Anyway, Father Balasurya contests the thinking of assigning feminine qualities to Mother Mary. He says Jesus and the Holy Mother both are symbols of equality. And he says, he further argues that emancipation of both men and women is intertwined, interlinked, and depends on each other. So when it comes to Islam, I think not only Quran, but there are something called Hadith. I am not very familiar with the religion. I haven't read Quran. But what I learned is there are differences, particularly the concern expressed by women's group in Islamic voluntary organization on the Muslim Marriage and Divorce Act. So they are proposing revisions to that act because they demand freedom. I think in this sense, I recommend you to read a book titled Stay Home, written by Jasmine Azad. She talks about how they have to struggle within the family for freedom. Gender in Hindu religion also has a lower status for women. Maybe in the olden days, Rigveda time, there had been a considerable freedom for women, but due to the male dominance and especially Brahmanic priest took over, that clan was dominating the whole religion. Women were given inferior status or lower status. But I cannot understand, but they have goddesses like Saraswati, Kali, Durga. They worship them. Even men go and worship those female gods. So they have a concept called Arthanarati, concept that reflects significance of women. It is a condition in Hindu religion that every priest must marry. But my understanding is this is due to the reproductive role of a woman. That is why they have given important status for women. It doesn't mean it's the equal status. You must have seen that they even worship linga, the male organ. So that is the role of the reproductive role of human beings that they are worshipping. Therefore, giving an important place for women does not reflect equality. There are practices that affect the freedom of women in that religion. One may say it is because of the need to protect females. When it comes to legal systems also, Professor Mahanama may be able to elaborate it on that. This law practice in the North, Tesavalami, has such discriminatory elements. I would like to bring here one important fact, irrespective of all religions, violence. It cuts across all religions, actually, violence against women. Women well-being survey conducted recently, 2019 in Sri Lanka, says 20% of married women are victims of domestic violence. COVID restrictions have aggravated this situation. It has no religious limits or freedom. It has nothing to do with religion, in fact. This may be the masculine nature of men, sometimes maybe animal instinct, and other components or contributory factors are triggering factors are alcohol and drugs. So we hear a lot of instances of violence against women irrespective of religion. So my conclusion therefore is Sri Lanka has given equal status for women in our constitution. Government has committed to protect women's rights to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women in international forums, international conventions. Legal systems, particularly penal code and other acts, are there to protect women against violence. Yet, women are often discriminated within the family and in the community, even in the society and workplace.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
The time is finished for the first roundtable session.
Okay, you want me to stop or you can you give me 1 minute only? It is therefore not only restriction in these specific religions or belief, it is social issue. I think Mr. Tudor Silva was commenting on values. It depends on why we people, irrespective of our sex or gender role, why we can't respect each other. This is where the religion also should come in. I will stop here and maybe I can join later on when you want me to speak again. Thank you.
Yeah, for the second round table session, we can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I guess now you all have a brief idea on freedom of religion or belief in Sri Lanka. Just as our panel of experts shared their expertise with you at this time, our panels also shared their views with us on 4 special events that we have previously shared. So, this is time to briefly share their expertise with you. You're over to you, technical team. This time is for you.
ආගමික විශ්වාසයන් හා ආගමික කණ්ඩායම් සමාජයේ බහුල වීම නිසා ඒ ආගමික කණ්ඩායම්ට යම්කිසි සුරක්ෂිතභාවයක් එහෙම නැත්නම් රැකවරණයක් අවශ්‍ය වන්නේ කිසියම් ආගමික කණ්ඩායමක් සමාජයේ වෙනස් කොට සැලකීමකට ලක් වෙනවා නම් එහෙම නැත්නම් කිසියම් ආගමික කණ්ඩායමක් සමාජයේ මර්ධනයට ලක් වෙනවා නම් ඒ මර්ධනයට ලක්වන්නේ ඒකේ විශ්වාස කරන්නව පුද්ගලයන් විතරක් නෙවෙයි ඒ සමාජයේ ඉතිහාසයන් හා සංස්කෘතිය. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා තමයි ආගම් හා පුද්ගලයන්ට යම්කිසි විශ්වාසයක් දැරීමේ අයිතිය ආරක්ෂා කළ යුත්තේ ඇයි කියනා වූ කාරණාව මතුවේ. විශේෂයෙන්ම දෙවන ලෝක යුද්ධයෙන් පසුව මේ ආගමික කණ්ඩායම් සහ ජනවර්ග වලට සුරක්ෂිතභාවයක් අවශ්‍යයි කියනා වූ කතිකාවත නිර්මාණය වෙනවා. ඒකට හේතු වෙන්නේ දෙවන ලෝක යුද්ධයෙන් පසුව සමාජයේ සහ ලෝක සමාජයේ විශේෂයෙන්ම යුරෝපීය සමාජයන්හි ජුදෙව්වන්ට එරෙහිව ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණා වූ වෙනස් කොට සැලකීම් සහ මර්ධනකාරී යාන්ත්‍රණය.
ඒ තෝරගෙන තියෙන මාතෘකාව ගැන බැලුවාම ඒක අර ගොඩක් මේ කාලෙත් එක්ක කාලෝචිත මාතෘකාවක්. මොකද ඒකට හේතුව යූත් එකයි ආගමයි එක බලනකොට දැන් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට බොහෝ දෙනෙක් හිතන් ඉන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ආගම කියලා ගත්තාම අර වයසෙන් පරිපූර්ණ වෙච්ච කට්ටිය, ඒ කියන්නේ අවුරුදු 50 60 ගත්තු කට්ටිය තමයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ආගමත් එක්ක බැඳලා ඉන්නේ, නැඹුරු වෙලා ඉන්නේ කියලා. හැබැයි එහෙම කියලා එකක් නැහැ. අපි ගත්තාම අපේ යූත් එකේ කට්ටිය ආගම පිළිබඳව දකින විදිහ හාත්පසින් වෙනස්. අපේ ආච්චිලා සීයලා ඒ પરම්පරාවල්, ඒ પરම්පරාගත විදිහට බැලුවම හාත්පසින් වෙනස්. අපි ගොඩක් නිදහසේ තමයි හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට අපේ ඉස්කෝලෙන් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, අපේ පරිසරෙන් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, අපේ එතකොට ආශ්‍රය කරන වටපිටා යාළුවෝ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේ ඔක්කොම අපිට හේතු වෙලා තියෙනවා අපි දැන් නිදහසේ දරන චින්තනයට. එතකොට මේ දරන නිදහසේ දරන ආකල්ප වලට ආගමත් ඍජුවම අපිට බලපාලා තියෙනවා.
මට ඇත්තටම මම හිතනවා ඒ තරුණයන්ව ආගමික තැනකට රැගෙන එනවට වඩා ධර්මය කියන තැනකට රැගෙන ඒම හරිම වැදගත්. හේතුව මම හිතන්නේ ධර්මය කියන එක පුළුල් දෙයක්. මානවයා වශයෙන් අපි හැම කෙනාටම අත්‍යවශ්‍ය දෙයක්. ධර්මානුකූලව කටයුතු කිරීම කියන එක තවත් මිනිසෙක් සමග ඔහුට කිසි හිරිහැරයකින් තොරව යහපත් විදිහට උචිත විදිහට කටයුතු කිරීම සඳහා පෙළඹවීමක් ලෙස මා සලකනවා. ඒ නිසා ඇතරම වර්තමානයේ තුල තිබෙන මේ අභියෝගාත්මක කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ තුල අභියෝගාත්මක කාල අවස්ථාවන් තුල අපි ඇත්තටම මේ මොහොතේ ලෝකයේ තුල දකින්න දෙයක් තමයි විනය සම්බන්ධ විශාල පිරිහීමක් දකිනවා. ඒ පිරිහීම මම හිතන්නේ ඒ පිරිහීම පසුපස විවිධ හේතුන් අපි දකිනවා. ධර්මයේ කියන එකෙන් අදහස් කරන්නේ තවත් කෙනෙකුව නිවැරදි කරනවට වඩා තවත් කෙනෙකුව වැරදි හරිගස්සනවට වඩා මුලින්ම තමන් නිවැරදි තැනකට නිවැරදි විදිහට තමන්ව හසුරවා ගන්න පුළුවන් තත්ත්වයකට පත් කර ගැනීම කියන එක මට පැහැදිලි කරන්න පුළුවන්. බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේත් මේ කාරණාව හරි ලස්සනට අපිට පැහැදිලි කරා. විශේෂයෙන් සබ්බ පාපස්ස අකරණ කුසලස්ස උපසම්පදං සචිත්තෝ පරියෝදපණං ඒතං බුද්ධා ශාසනං කියන්නේ. මනස පිරිසුදු කරගෙන ජීවත් වීම අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ නිසා මම හිතන්නේ මේක තාරුණ්‍යයන් කියන කාරණාවට පමණක් සීමා නොකොට මිනිස්යන් ලෙස අපට අපදෙස හැරී බැලීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවයක් තිබෙනවා. මම හිතන්නේ ඒවා ඒ ආගමික වශයෙන් විවිධ නම් ගත්තත් විවිධ සංකේත ගත්තත් ඒ සියලු තැන් වලින් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මේ මිහිතලය මත අනිකා සමග ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් යහපත් මිනිස්සෙක්ගේ අවශ්‍යතාවය.
බල නිදහසක් ගැන නෙමෙයි. මේ නිදහස පුද්ගලයන්ගේ නිදහසක් පිළිබඳවයි තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේක පැහැදිලි කර ගැනීම තුළ යම්කිසි වෙනස් හිතයක් තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මම හිතන්නේ ඒකට අපි තවදුරටත් සාකච්ඡා කරමු. මේක තුළ පොඩි වෙනසක් තියෙනවා මේක තුළ. මේ අපි අන්තර්ජාතික පිළිගෙන තියෙන මේ අයිතිවාසිකමක් හැටියට පිළිගන්නවනේ මේ නිදහස එක්තරා විදිහකට. එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ මානව හිමිකම් පිළිබඳ ප්‍රඥාප්තිය තුළ මේ නිදහස පිළිගන්නවා. ඒ පිළිගැනීම තුළ සහ අර ICPR කියන එකඟතාවය තුළ අපි පිළිගන්නවා මේ නිදහස අන්තර්ජාතිකයි. ඒක තුළ ඒ නිදහස ලබා දීලා තියෙන පුද්ගලයන්ට ආගම් වලට නෙමෙයි. ඒකට ආගම් වල ආරක්ෂාව වෙනුවෙන් ලැබිලා තියෙන නිදහසක් නෙමෙයි මේක. අපි තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ එතන ඉඳන්.
ආගම කියන එක මගේ පෞද්ගලික දෙයක්. එතකොට මගේ නිදහස කියන එක තව දෙයක්. එතකොට මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේවා මගේ කාර්යභාරවලට මගේ ආගම කවදාවත් මට මේ කොහොමද කියන එක අපි කියන්නේ මට කවදාවත් ඕක බැරියර් එකක් වෙලා නැහැ. ඒක කොයි තැනකටවත් මට ඒක බැරියර් එකක් වෙලා නැහැ. එතකොට මම ආගමේ විශ්වාස කිරීම හා අනුගමනය කරන ඒ කරුණු දෙකම ඒ මත දෙකම ඉඳලා බැලුවොත් මගේ වැඩවලට හරි කාර්යභාර වගේ බැලුවම සියලුම දේ ඒක මගේ පොඩි කාලේ ඉඳලම අධ්‍යාපන කටයුතු ඊට පස්සේ මම මගේ එක්ස්පෝස් ඒවා අනිත් එක දැන් පිට රටට ගිහිල්ලා ඉගෙන ගත්තා ඊට පස්සේ රැකියාව කරා ඊට පස්සේ දැන් පෞල් ජීවිතයක් ගත කරනවා මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් බැලුවම මට කවදාවත් ආගමකින් කවදාවත් කවුරුත් මේ නෑ කියලා එකක් හරි එතන මේ මට බැරියර් එකක් එවිලා නෑ. එතකොට එතනින් තියන්නේ මම හිතන විදියට දැන් කල්චර් එක ආගමත් එක්ක මොනවා හරි ගැටුමකින් නැත්නම් කල්චර් එක ආගමත් එක්ක තියෙන අපහැදිලිකම තමා මම මේ කාන්තාව හා ආගමික නිදහස කියන මත එළියට ඒමට කාරණාව කියලා මම විශ්වාස කරනවා.
මම ඉතාම ඒ කියන්නේ නිකන් අර මේ බ්ලැන්ක් විදිහට කියනවා නම් මම කියන්නේ මේ කිසිම සාම්ප්‍රදායික දේවල් වල ඉල්ලගෙන ඉන්න එපා. ගතානුගතික දේවල් වල ඉල්ලගෙන ඉන්න එපා. ස්ත්‍රිය කියලා කියන්නේ පුරුෂයා කියලා කියන්නේ සමාන අයිතිවාසිකම් දෙන්නේ සහ ඒ දෙන්නටම මේ අන්තර්ජාතික සහ ජාත්‍යන්තර නීතිය සහ අපේ රටේ පවතින නීතියනොත් මූලික අයිතිවාසිකමක් හැටියට තහවුරු කරලා තියෙනවා දෙදෙනාම එක සමානයි. එහෙමනම් අමුතු බාධාවක් කාන්තාවකට කිව්වොත්ම ස්ත්‍රියකට අමුතු බාධාවක් පනවන්න බෑ. එහෙමනම් අපිට කරන්න තියෙන්නේ මම ස්ත්‍රියක් හැටියට මම නම් කරන්නේ ඉස්සර වෙලාම මගේ ඇදහිීම මම යම් කිසි ඇදහිීමක් මට තියෙනවා නම් මම මේ ඇදහිීමේ ඒ කියන්නේ ඇදහිීමක් කියලා කියන්නේ අපි ඇත්තටම මේ බුද්ධ ධර්මය හරි ක්‍රිස්තියානි ධර්මය හරි ඉස්ලාම් ධර්මය හරි හින්දු ධර්මය හරි ඒ ධර්මයේ තියෙන වටිනාකම අපි ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරනවා කියන්නේ.
அரசியலமைப்பு எங்களுக்கு இதற்கான முழுமையான சுதந்திரத்தை தந்திருக்கின்றது. அது நானும் நீங்களும் இலங்கை பிரஜையாக பிறந்திருக்கின்றோம், இங்கே வாழ்கிறோம் என்றால் எங்களுக்கான சுதந்திரம் இருக்கின்றது. அரசியலமைப்பினுடைய 12வது ஒரு குறை மிக தெளிவாக பேசுகின்றது. இனம், மதம், மொழி, சாதி, பால் அரசியல் கொள்கை அல்லது பிறப்பிடம் காரணமாக அல்லது அத்தகைய காரணங்களுக்கு எந்த ஒரு காரணமாகவும் எந்த பிரஜையும் ஓரம் கட்டப்படலாகாது என்பது தெளிவாக சொல்லப்பட்டிருக்கின்றது. அதே நேரம் அரசியலமைப்பினுடைய உறுப்புரை 10 மிக தெளிவாக சொல்கிறது, ஒவ்வொருவரும் தான் விரும்பும் மதத்தை அல்லது நம்பிக்கையை உடையவராக இருப்பதற்கு அல்லது மேற்கொள்வதற்கான சுதந்திரமும் சிந்தனை செய்யும் சுதந்திரமும் அவரிடம் காணப்படுகிறது என்பது மிக தெளிவாக அரசியலமைப்பினூடாக எங்களுக்கு தரப்பட்டிருக்கின்ற சுதந்திரம். இதனை யாராவது நீங்கள் இந்த மதத்தை பின்பற்ற வேண்டாம், இந்த கொள்கையை பின்பற்ற வேண்டாம், இந்த கோட்பாட்டை பின்பற்ற வேண்டாம், நீங்கள் இதனை செய்யக்கூடாது என்றால் அது ஒரு தண்டனைக்குரிய குற்றமாகவே இருக்கின்றது. எங்களுக்கு அரசியலமைப்பு மிக தெளிவான ஒரு சுதந்திரத்தை தந்திருக்கின்றது என்றால் அதனை பின்பற்றுவதற்கு எல்லா உரிமையும் எனக்கு இலங்கையில் இருக்கின்ற ஒரு பிரஜையாக ஒரு மனிதனாக எனக்கு எல்லா சுதந்திரங்களும் இருக்கின்றன.
அதனால் ஒரு மதத்தினருக்கு அடுத்த மதங்கள் பற்றிய தெளிவின்மை காணப்படுகின்றது. எனவே அவ்வாறு தெளிவினை வழங்குவதற்காக மேற்கொள்ள வேண்டிய நடவடிக்கைகள் என்ன? ஏற்கனவே கேட்கப்பட்ட ஒரு கேள்வி சம்பந்தமாக கூறியிருந்தேன். சுருக்கமாக, அதாவது முதலாவதாக ஒவ்வொருவரும் நம்முடைய மதங்களை சரியாக தெரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும். மதத்தினுடைய அடிப்படை கோட்பாடுகள், அந்த மதத்தினுடைய அடிப்படை கோட்பாடுகளை சரியாக தெரிந்து கொண்டாலே இன்னொரு மதத்தை பற்றி சரியாக தெரிந்திருக்காவிட்டாலும் தவறாக தெரிந்து கொள்ளாமல் இருப்பதற்கு நாங்கள் முயற்சி செய்யலாம். இரண்டாவதாக, மற்ற சகோதர மதங்களை பற்றியும் தெரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டியது ஒரு கட்டாயமாகிறது. முக்கியம், பல்வேறு மதங்கள் வாழ்கின்ற ஒரு நாட்டிலே நாம் வாழும் பொழுது.
Thank you, technical team. Now we are in the second round of the roundtable session, and here we go with the legal background of freedom of religion or belief. For the second round of the roundtable session, you are given only 10 minutes. In the second roundtable session, as the first speaker, I invite Professor Pratibha Mahana Maheva to deliver your speech under the heading of legal background of freedom of religion or belief.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity once again. May 2021, the United States Department of USSD published a report with regard to religious freedom in Sri Lanka. In this 2020 report, I will come certain important issues mentioned. Now, first of all, I would like to say Senior Professor Carling Tudor, specifically say the values. I think these values are very, very important. In every religion, they try to treat the values. Now, later only this became to law. Even if you see English common law also, these are the customs, traditions, norms were in the society. Later they codified. So even today, the values are very important. Law plays a secondary role. As also other madam said, Tesavalami law, I'll little bit elaborate that. Now in Sri Lanka, we have some personal laws. Earlier, they were provincial laws. One is in the northern province. That is called Tesavalami law. Now, Tesavalami law only applies today to the property. The property, it can be basically immovable property in northern province and the movable property, cash in banks, any other part of Sri Lanka. As well as in the marriage also and child adoption, little bit areas are there. Now, Tesavalami law, apply to Tesavalami law, there are 3 significant principles. Number 1, must be a Hindu speaking Tamil language. So that is the first requirement. So therefore, Tesavalami law application is coming. You have to be a Hindu and born to Tamil speaking parent, and you also speak Tamil language, and you are permanently residing in northern province, but temporary you can go somewhere. So that is where their tradition, that also like Buddhism, it migrated from Travancore province in the Coromandel beach. We have evidence like that. But anyway, they have their values, but the caste problem is very high. Brahmana caste, they have Vellale, Karala. Prabhakaran came a very low caste and attracted youths. So this is where I am telling, there's a Valami law and also Muslim law. Anyone who believe, anyone who follow Holy Al-Quran, anyone who follow Holy Al-Quran, then you can apply as a Muslim Islamic. And then you have Kandyan. Kandyan law, Kandyan provinces everywhere in Sri Lanka, other than 2 provinces. You must be a Buddhist, Sinhala speaking, born to Sinhala speaking Buddhist parents. So likewise, religion played a big role before 1505. When Lorenzo de Almeida came and captured Sri Lanka, before that, Tesavalami law was there, Kandyan law. And later with the English judgment, it became a personal law. It is still there. So they are protected there. So these are personal laws. But I just want to tell you one thing. Now I am speaking with regard to the laws. Penal Code of Sri Lanka is very important. Now Penal Code section 290, offences related to religion. It's a criminal offense. It specifically say any person whoever destroys, damage, defiles any place of worship or any object held in sacred by any class of person or any insultation for a religion, it's a punishable offense, imprisonment for 2 years. So now Sri Lanka, we have seen certain incidents. We don't know who do this. And they go and damage. It can be a Buddha statue, it can be a Roman Catholic church, or it can be a mosque. So immediately you have to arrest them. The law is very clearly say why the penal code is there. Black and white letters, it's very, very clear. If anyone involves in this, actually you can be punished. And section 290 of the penal code. Penal code means a major criminal code. It's a carbon copy of Indian one. Indian one is a carbon copy of United Kingdom. 29A and 291, section 290, whoever voluntarily causes disturbance, any assembly of freedom of religion, that means it can be a worship place. If someone voluntarily go and disturb, he can be arrested and 1 year imprisonment. So the laws are there. In Sri Lanka, very clearly penal code itself. But how many people arrested like that? Whether this is independently working, that's my question. Then I come to inter-religious activities, very important. Now, even after the civil war in Sri Lanka 2009, Human Rights Council, specifically this year, March, made minority religious groups are discriminated. So therefore, the state has an obligation to protect them. Every time, even this time also, when Honorable Michelle Bachelet addressed the Human Rights Council, they stated, so government has a responsibility to protect all regions. Now, I am coming to this very important report. This was published in May 2021. This report is called USSD, United States Department of State. They published this report. In this report, I like to explain certain things. In this report, it says Sri Lanka, there are 4 major religions: Buddhism, Islamic religion, Hindus, and Catholic. No need to register if they establish a worship place or religious place. But any new religion or any new religion group affiliated to these religions, for the new worship places must register. That means beliefs are not covered. It can be Jehovah's Witnesses. It can be Orthodox religion. It can be born again. Different. Even in other groups are also there. Other Mahayana, Theravada, like different. But what I am going to tell you, this registration requirement is not there for 4 religions. They are the main 4 religions. But remember, there are a lot of beliefs. Hare Krishna is a belief. So if they start someplace, they must be registered. This USSD reports it. And the other one, very important, bill was presented to Supreme Court. What is this bill? Supreme Court Special Determination number 19/2003. What is this report? This is where a bill, a private member bill to pass in Sri Lanka Parliament. The bill titled Provisional of the Teaching Sisters of the Holy Cross of the Third Order of St. Francis in Menzingen of Sri Lanka Incorporation. When this bill gazetted, certain citizens in Sri Lanka went to Supreme Court to see the Supreme Court determination. It violates Sri Lanka certain constitutional articles, Article 9 and Article 10. So what is Article 9? I told you, this is where the priority is given for Buddha Sasana while assuring to all religions the rights guaranteed by Article 10. So even it say other religious also protected. Now Article 10, every person is entitled to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, including the freedom to have or to adopt a religion on belief or his choice. Now Sri Lanka, it is a tradition. Sinhala Buddhists are there, nearly 69%. So other religions scattered. Now this is where we see, we follow the adults, grandfather, grandmother, and we go on that tradition. But this tradition is changing now. So therefore you can be converted to another religion. This is where the freedom also given. Now what happened in this bill, they want to pass this bill, Teaching Sisters of the Holy Cross of the Third Order. The bill section 3 say, spread knowledge of the Catholic religion. Likewise, others also there. When this was challenged, the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka said, yes, this bill violate Article 9 and 10, fundamental rights. Therefore, you have to go for a 2/3 majority of the parliament as well as a referendum. So the bill was not present. So that's why certain people believe the state language is Buddhist. So therefore the priority is given for that. And this judgment is little bit criticized. Criticisms also there. Why you can't allow that? Because similar thing came, conversions. Now in India, Tamil Nadu, there was a bill to be passed, conversion to other religions. But normally what they argue, economically down or economically not established community or general people, they go for money. This is the problem. So with your choice and conscience, you can convert to any religion. But forcible conversions are actually not accepted in many country laws. And the other one, the full face mask of this certain Muslim religion, Islamic religion, it is there in Iran, Iraq, and other countries. So Sri Lanka, there was a gazette which was under the Ministry of Defense. At least you can't use the full face. No, not only in Sri Lanka, in several European Union countries, which was there. Even it is challenged, it was not approved. But Sri Lanka, very recently, the gazette came up. At least you have to show the, not the full face mask, at least you have to show the face. So these are all coming up with national security as well as state security. So these are some of the points where you can discuss how it go with religious freedom as well as the national security. And the third one is this madrasa schools. There were certain issues where they teach the religion, all right, no issue. But now most of the countries, even in Afghanistan, this problem is coming up. Taliban, I don't know, some people say they are terrorist group, but some say they are liberal fighters. Anyway, that's not my issue, but USA and FBI, they have certain information covering to this. They go with other terrorist activities also. This is not in Sri Lanka. That's why I said the WhatsApp group is coming up. But this is where the police intelligence must find out these things. So we have to protect citizens. We have to give the freedom of religion where it gives a community in a way we all get together. The youths are empowered for that. That's why we can reach with this, basic sustainable development goals. But racism, extremist, not acceptable. So we must have a very peaceful life when you are discussing. Yes, you have to respect the rituals. You have to respect the other religions. So that's why the penal code say this Mavanelli incident and other incidents came up. Why at that time, this section 290, 298, 291 was not implemented. And it's vastly spread around the country. So immediately you have to take action. And also the youth must come forward. And they must discuss this. So other laws where I can say, so the Constitution protect religion freedom as a fundamental right. So anyone rights violated Article 126, within 1 month you can go to Supreme Court, or even if you are unable to go to Supreme Court, you can go to Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission and you can lodge an application, then 30 days is not counted. So we always have the solutions. So what we do as perfectly Tissa Balasuriya, Father Tissa Balasuriya, yes, Maradana, Samika Kendriya, all religious statutes are there. Now in Buddhist temples, you can see God Vishnu, God Kataragama, all the Buddhists, they go for Kataragama. So at that time, they have this religious harmony, but when an issue coming up, it's separate. So that's why equal protection should be given for all religions. Equal opportunities should be given for all religions. That's why in the Human Rights Council, Geneva, today, day after tomorrow, these sessions are coming up to protect them. And also when you do these type of activities, all should get together. That's why I have seen Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit also have gone and visited Buddhist leaders, bhikkhus, and certain conversations were there. And even any religious act, any opening or auspicious, when you are going for a new building, you call all three religions. Even I am staying in the Iwala, Sri Lanka Police Department, the Iwala, we have an advisory committee. In this advisory committee, monk and a father, as well as Gurukul and the mosque represented. This is the way. You have to give this message with civilians as well as religious leaders. So the committees must set up. Committees must set up in the provisional, divisional secretary level. Then you can discuss all these issues as well as your message must be taken. So if you want to reach these sustainable development goals, one thing, language, culture, which go together. So this message is a unique one where this organization can take forward. So this is where my message. Thank you very much giving this 10 minutes for me.
Thank you, sir. As the second speaker, I invite Professor Kalinga Tudor Silva to deliver your speech under the heading of Human Values and Freedom of Religion or Belief. As we already mentioned, for the second round of the roundtable session, you are given only 10 minutes.
you very much. And I will try to keep to the time limit. Firstly, I want to say a few things about history of religions in Sri Lanka, because that will actually help us work towards understanding of freedom of religion. As Professor Mahanama just mentioned, Sri Lanka has what we call 4 world religions. They are world religions because they exist in more than one country. If you take Buddhism, it's in Sri Lanka, it's in Thailand, it's in many other countries. Same thing about Hinduism, and Islam obviously is present in many different countries, and the same thing applies to Christianity. So Sri Lanka has had a long history of coexistence among religions, especially when Hinduism was introduced. Buddhist establishment actually accepted, and not only accepted, incorporated some of the Hindu deities into their own religion. For instance, Lord Vishnu is one good example, and Skanda, obviously. And even when Christianity was introduced during the colonial encounter, there were a lot of times Buddhist monks actually openly welcome Christianity, and sometimes they had debates with them, but nevertheless they had a good conversation. So we need to, as young people, you need to understand that history correctly, to know that we have a kind of multi-religious history and existence in Sri Lanka. And I think for young people, this is important knowledge. And secondly, I think one of the perhaps most important challenges before us is how to make sure that people internalize these values, internalize the history of diversity. And, I think, I'm not sure how many of you are actually in school right now, but in the school education system, I think there's very limited space for young people from different religions to interact, share their experiences. They obviously study their own religion, but they don't know even the basic principles of other religions. I think it's very important that, we introduce reforms in the education system that will help young people to understand, the different religions, not only their religion, so other religions, so that it will hopefully develop respect for each other, respect for diversity. I think that's very important. And the fact that our schools are segregated by medium of instruction, by religion, rural, urban, doesn't help this either. So it's perhaps we need to rethink about, how to promote the mutual understanding among different religions through the education system. I think that's a very important challenge that we are facing. And also, I think perhaps it's very important that actually we are in a juncture of Sri Lankan history. We have also experienced many types of religious extremism in recent times. Of course, the worst example was the Easter Sunday attack that happened 2019. But that was not the only event. There are extremist groups within almost each religion in the country. Their numbers may be rather small, but we have to figure out how to deal with that extremism. Especially young people should play an important role here. How to prevent people from getting kind of converted to religious extremism of one kind or another is very important, because once extremism hits any religion, it makes it very difficult for peaceful coexistence, because there will always be an extremist group who will come forward and say, no, you should not, you should not attend each other's rituals. You should not respect each other. Try to basically limit their followers to, very extremist reading of their religion. So I believe this is also an area where young people have a role to play, perhaps through social media and so on and so forth. And finally, I feel that, young people should play an important, proactive role in guiding society, because they have fresh ideas, and they are, as someone mentioned earlier, they're exposed to new ideas, new literature, and I think young people should try to basically enrich this diversity in our country, and also use our heritage of religious pluralism to good effect, to prevent any kind of violent extremism emerging from within any religion. Of course, they cannot do it alone. Obviously, law and order has to play a role as well. But I think one important challenge before us is how to wean young people away from that kind of extremism. What can be done? Perhaps one approach would be to, teach something like comparative education, where young people will perhaps, collectively understand the principles and traditions of all religions, and that will prepare them, that will give them the kind of necessary intellectual background to deal with that kind of issue. But more importantly, I feel that, young people themselves should have an open mind, in the sense that, they should have they should obviously have a strong faith, practicing religion, but it should not kind of make them think that their religion is the only religion, only faith in the world, and other people have no space to practice their own religion, is something that we should try to prevent. And I think we have a strong kind of background in our society which can do it. And I believe that groups like you should come forward to maintain and develop and promote the multicultural heritage of Sri Lanka. With that, I will stop.
Thank you, sir. And as the third speaker, I invite Mrs. Manal Jaimanna to deliver the speech under the heading of Gender in the Freedom of Religion or Belief in Sri Lanka. As we mentioned already, for the second round of the roundtable session, you are given only 10 minutes.
I think, is Miss Manal with us already?
Sorry, yeah, I forgot to mute myself.
No worries, right. Thank you.
Yeah, let me start again. Yeah, let me start again. I may not take even 10 minutes, but I want to quote Professor Abdul Kalam. I highly respect that gentleman. He was the former president in India. Once he said, where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. Where there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. Where there is harmony in the home, there is an order in the nation. Where there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. So that he puts it in very nice poetic language. The harmony should come from home and within your character. He talks about harmony among the religious groups or other divisions among ourselves. And in that sense, I also would like to quote another person I highly respect, Father Tissa Balasurya. He says, I quoted him in Sinhala, Stringe Vimuktiya Tulin Pirimintada Sabha Vimuktiya Karagata Heka. Paulaha Samaja Godanagime Pudu Karibari Kotaskaryan Vashin, Tama Manushatwe Pilibanda Nivaradi Vatahima Klabaganimata May Magim Piriminta Hakivanuet. So I think that's where we should take our youth. Good that I have this opportunity to talk to youth. I'm almost 73 years old, so I hope our youth will listen to us. As I mentioned in my previous discussion, within each religion, we know the status of women is not necessarily equal. Maybe there are reasons within those organizations, but we must admit in general terms, women have a lower status compared with men. Although in Buddhism also they say the Lord Buddha preached equality, but in practice what I see today is there's no such equality. So that equality or respect, I think rather than using the term equality, I would like to use the term equality, respect. There should be a respect among ourselves to each other, whether he's a man or a woman, irrespective of the sex or irrespective of the gender role one has to play. Our problem in the country is we are unable to respect each other. If you go to a place like Japan, you will see how they bow down to respect another person. Unless you respect the other person, you can't generate respect yourself. So that's where we are missing, and we are unable to respect elderly, unable to respect our teachers. Of course, they have their own problems as we see them on the road today. Our priests, especially Buddhist monks, and people find it difficult to respect, but somehow or other we must develop our character within ourselves. That's where we have to start, I think. Even in the families, how we treat each other. Whether we have harmony in the family. Very often in the place where I work, I get a lot of complaints. We have a toll-free helpline to complain violence against women, or domestic violence particularly. It's so difficult for a man to accept the woman, and so many differences that ends up in violence. So why is this? Maybe the next term I would like to say is the tolerance. Every religion preaches tolerance, but we ourselves, so we may go and worship, offer flowers in the temple and go and pray in the church or mosque, but do we have that amount of tolerance among ourselves? Can we listen to another person and understand before react? Because we try to react and defend ourselves. Oh, we are the best people, we have the superb position in the society and things like that. We defend ourselves. But I think that's where we have to start. We must be humble enough to understand where we are and try to tolerate other religions, other castes, or other creeds, whatever. We must be able to tolerate the differences. and accept it. And these are the differences. All human beings are not homogeneous or equal. So we are born as human beings, but there are lots of differences. We must be able to consider that these differences are all made after we are born in the society. So that has to be tolerated, and we must understand to respect each other. Having the subject given to me was gender and how it is in the social when it comes to freedom of religion. We saw that within the religion, the freedom is somewhat limited to women, but that may prevent they achieve their full potential in certain circumstances. You know, in Sri Lanka, because of these limitations, women do not come forward in many fields. There are indicators to show that women do not want to go for higher jobs or managerial type of jobs. It has nothing to do with the religion, but it may be the societal differences or the places they have, they want to go, and what they want to do in their life. There are so many limitations that one has to take into account when they decide their own profession or the studies. Sometimes they say there are statistics to show that girls do not want to do science due to various reasons, but these are limitations that girls find or the females find in our society. I think that's where the religion also can play a vital role to teach them, give confidence to females as well as males equally, how to understand one's own potential and contribute to the advancement of the society as equal natural partners in the society. I think I may not have much to say because I took more than 5 minutes earlier. So I will leave it to you to ask questions if you want, but otherwise I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. This journey has lots of pillars that guide us towards success. This time, the focus is on how the young people who stay with us throughout our project have learned about FORB. So I invite everyone to spare your little moment to listen to them. Technical team, again it's your time.
The right to freedom of thought, conscience, religion or belief commonly affects everyone. FORB represents the fundamental freedom to follow your conscience and live according to a worldview of your choice. It incorporates freedom of thought on all matters, covers theistic, non-theistic and atheistic beliefs, and means that you can adopt, practice and or live any religion without any judgment on the content of beliefs, including the right not to believe. FORB is protected by Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 18 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and among other treaties.
Hi, hello, I am Azla Abirahman. நான் இன்னைக்கு உங்க கூட பேச எடுத்த விட என்னன்னு சொன்னா எமது சமூகத்தில் காணப்படக்கூடிய மத வேறுபாடு. மத வேறுபாட்டுக்கு மிக முக்கிய பிரச்சனையாகிறது, முக்கிய காரணமாகிறது புரிந்துணர்வு இன்மை. இந்த புரிந்துணர்வு இன்மை என்று சொல்றது நம்பிக்கை, பொறுமை, சகிப்புத்தன்மை போன்ற பல வார்த்தைகளை அதற்குள்ள உள்ளடக்கலாம். அதாவது நாம் எப்படி வாழ்றோம் இந்த சமூகத்துல, நான், எனது குடும்பம், எனக்கு மட்டும் என்று சொல்லித்தான் நாங்க வாழ்றோம். அப்படி இல்லாம எம்மை போலத்தான் அடுத்தவர்களும் என்று நாம மதிச்சு அவர்களோட உணர்வுகளையும் மதித்து எமது மதத்தை போன்றதான் அடுத்தவர்களின் மதங்களும் என்று மதித்து நாங்கள் வாழ்ந்தா சமூகத்துல ஒரு சிறந்த சமூகத்தை, ஒற்றுமையுள்ள சமூகத்தை நாம காணலாம் என்று நினைக்கிறேன்.
FORB සහ ආගම සෑම සමාජයකම වෙසෙන සියලුම ජනතාවට තමන් කැමති ආගමක් හෝ විශ්වාසයක් ඇදහීමට, නිදහසේ ඇදහීමට අයිතියක් තියෙනවා. අපි ඒ අයිතියට බාධා කරන්නට හොඳ නැහැ. අන් අයගේ අයිතියක් උදුරා ගන්නට හොඳ නැහැ. මම එම කීමට හේතුව වන්නේ සමහරක් අය තමන්ගේ ආගම ප්‍රචාරණය කරන්න හදනවා. ඒ ආගමට අන් අයව ඇද්දවා ගන්නට හදනවා. ඒ සිදුවන්නේ ඒ අයගේ අයිතියට අපි කරන ලොකු බලපෑමක්.
Hello everyone. பல்லின சமூகங்கள் வாழ்கின்ற நாடுகளில் மத சகிப்புத்தன்மையை பேணுதலும் சமாதானத்தை கட்டியெழுப்புதலும் மிக முக்கியமானதொன்றாகும். இந்த வகையில் மத சகிப்புத்தன்மையையும் சமாதானத்தையும் கட்டியெழுப்புதல் பற்றி உங்களுடன் சிறு கவிதையை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள வந்துள்ளேன். வேறுபாடுகளை வேறறுத்து பூசல்களை புறந்தள்ளி சமாதானம் எனும் சாதனத்தை சார்ந்திருந்து சந்தோஷம் பெறுவோம், வாழ்வில் சக்தி உருவோம். முரண்பாடுகள் முற்றி உடன்பாடுகள் வற்றின் நாசங்களே விளையும், நல்லவை தொலையும். இணக்கமின்றேல் பிணக்கம் தோன்றும், இதயம் இறுக்கம் கொண்டால் அங்கே நன்மையின் உதயம் நீங்கும். மதம் என்பது நல்ல மார்க்கம், வலியன்று அழகியதாய் அர்த்தப்படுத்தலாம். எல்லா மதங்களும் எடுத்தியம்புவது நல்லதைத்தான், அல்லதை அல்ல.
මමද කතා කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වන්නේ වයිෆෝබ් හා සාමය ගොඩනැගීම පිළිබඳව. ඉතින් මිනිසෙකු වීම නිසාම කිසිදු ජාති ආගම් භේදයකින් තොරව තමන් කැමති ආගමක් දහමක් අදහන්න හා විශ්වාසයකට ගරු කරන්න නිදහස තියෙනවා. එවිට නිතැතින්ම සමාජය තුළ සාමය ගොඩනැගෙනවා. එහෙත් වර්තමානය වන විට විවිධ සමාජ බෙදීම්, දේශපාලනික බෙදීම් හේතු කරගෙන වයිෆෝබ් සඳහා වන නිදහස හා සාමය ගුවිඳ වැටිලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් තරුණ ප්‍රජාව විදියට අපිට පුළුවන් නම් අපි කැමති ආගමක් දහමක් අදහනවා හා විශ්වාසයකට ගරු කරනවා වගේම කිසිදු ජාති ආගම් භේදයකින් තොරව අනෙක් ආගම් වලට ගරු කරන්න සහ ඒවට වටිනාකමක් ලබා දෙන්න අපේ සමාජය තුළ, අපේ රට තුළ නැවත සාමය ගොඩනැගීම වැනි මාතෘකා ගැන කතා කිරීමට ඉඩක් වෙන්නේ කරනු ඇත. ස්තුතියි.
ආගමික විශ්වාසයන් සහ කාන්තාව කියන්නේ එකිනෙක වෙන් කළ නොහැකි මාතෘකාවන් තිත්වයක්. ඒ කියන්නේ ආගමික විශ්වාසයන්හි ඍජු බලපෑම කාන්තාවට තියෙනවා කියන එක. එහෙම බලනකොට මේ කාන්තාවට මේ ආගමික විශ්වාසයන්හි බලපෑම ධනාත්මක ආකාරයෙන්ම ඇතැම් විට ඍණාත්මක ආකාරයෙන්ම බලපාන්නට පුළුවන්. ඒ කෙසේ නමුත් ආගමික විශ්වාසයන් තුළ කාන්තා අයිතිවාසිකම් සුරක්ෂිත කරනවා නම්, කාන්තා හිංසනයන් දුරු කරනවා නම් ඇත්තටම ආගමික විශ්වාසයන් තුළින් සිදුවිය යුත්තේ එය. එම නිසා අප සියලු දෙනාම එක්ව ආගමික විශ්වාසය නම් වූ සෙවතුමින් ආරක්ෂා කරමු කාන්තා අයිතිවාසිකම් දුර්ලභ කාන්තා හිංසනයන්. ස්තුතියි.
ආගමික ඇදහීමේ නිදහස සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකාව පිළිබඳ විමසීමේදී ශ්‍රී ලංකානු ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ 10 වෙනි වගන්තියේ සඳහන් වනුයේ තමන් කැමති විශ්වාසයක් හෝ ආගමක් ඇදහීමේ නිදහසද ඇතුළු සිතීමේ හෘද සාක්ෂියේ සහ ආගමික නිදහස සෑම පුද්ගලයෙකුටම හිමි විය යුතු බවයි. කෙසේ නමුත් 1983 සිට 2009 දක්වා පැවති පුරා අවුරුදු 30ක් තිස්සේ පැවති යුද්ධයක් 2020 සිදු මරාගෙන මැරෙන බෝම්බ ප්‍රහාරවලටත් ප්‍රධානම හේතු සාධක වූයේ ආගමයි. මේ අනුව ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ආගමික නිදහස ඇති කිරීම සඳහා රජය විසින් වෛරයේ පතුරවන ජාලයන් ඉවත් කර වෛරී අපරාධවල බින්දිතයන්ට යුක්තිය ලබා ගැනීමට පහසුකම් සැලසිය යුතුය.
සමාජයත් සමස්ත ජනතාවගේම නවාතැන් බලයි. ඕනෑම පුද්ගලයෙකු ජීවත් වීමේ
technical team, is there? I don't see the video anymore.
නින්දිතයන්ට යුක්තිය ලබා ගැනීමට පහසුකම් සැලසිය යුතුය.
සමාජයක් සමස්ත ජනතාවගේම නවාතැන් බලයි. ඕනෑම පුද්ගලයෙකු ජීවත්වීමේ හැකියාව මෙන් කැමති ආගම විශ්වාසයක් මතයක් දැරීමේ අහිතියක නිදහස නැත. බහු සංකරණයක්ගේ නිර්මාණය වූ සමාජය තුළ අසමානාත්මතාව වාර්ගිකත්වය ආගම්වේද යන දුර්මත බැහැර කර. මනුෂ්‍යයා තුළ ඇති සත්පුරුෂයා අවදි කර සමස්ත සමාජයම බබලවන්න පෙළ ගැසෙන.
ලෝකයේ ඕනෑම ප්‍රදේශයක සිට ඕනෑම පුද්ගලයෙකුට මේ අයිතිවාසිකම ලබා දීමේ විශ්වීය අයිතිවාසිකමක් පවතිනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව තුළද විවිධ සංචාරන සහ සීමාවන් පැවතියත් ආගමික නිදහස අපිට කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම අන්තර්ජාතික දේශපාලනය සහ ජාත්‍යන්තර රාජතාන්ත්‍රීකරණයේ ඉතා ප්‍රබල ප්‍රපංචයක් බවට ආගම්පත් වෙලා තිබෙනවා. නමුත් මේ ලෝකයේ මේ අවස්ථාවේ මේ මොහොත වන විට කොතනක හෝ සිටින පුද්ගලයෙකු වාර්ගිකත්වය, ලිංගිකත්වය, නොසලකා හැරීම, අසමානතාවය සහ ත්‍රස්තවාදය වැනි කරුණු හරහා ආගමික නිදහස උල්ලංඝනය වෙමින් පවතිනවා. එනිසා අපි මේ මානව අයිතිවාසිකම් පිළිබඳ අනිවාර්යෙන් කතා කළ යුතුයි.
අප අදහන ආගම තුළ අපට පවතින නිදහස මෙන්ම අනිකුත් ආගම් අදහන අයටද ඔවුන්ට පවතින නිදහස පිළිබඳව ගෞරවාන්විතව සිතීමට තරම් ආකල්පමය වශයෙන් නිදහස් නිවහල් මිනිසුන් සමාජය තුළ බිහිවිය යුතුයි. අනිකුත් ආගම්වල සෑම දෙයක්ම විවේචනය කරනවා වෙනුවට ඔවුන් දෙසත් මානුෂීයව බැලීමට තරම් කාරුණික විය යුතුයි.
Everyone has the right freedom to believe in religion. Everyone shares humanity. Sex is not barrier to collective action. Thank you.
මනසක් සහෝදර ආදරය කරුණා සමගිය ආදී ගුණයන්ගෙන් සමන්විත යහපත් සමාජයක් කතරනම් සාමකාමී නිහඬ සුන්දරද නමුත් මනුෂ්‍යත්වයේ දුර වෙලා අසමගිය ජාති ආගම් කුල වර්ග ભેද යන දුර්ගුණයන්ගෙන් හෙබි අශිෂ්ට වූ සමාජය ඔබට මට අද අත්දැක හැක. ඒ කෙසේ වුවත් ඕනෑම පුද්ගලයෙකු ජීවත් වීමට අයිතියක් ජීවත් වීම නිදහසක් ඇති අතර තමන් කැමති ආගමක් විශ්වාසයක් ඇදීමට මතයක් දැරීමට හැකියාව ඇත. එය උදුරා ගැනීමට මට හා ඔබට නොහැකි. එබැවින් මට හඳුනාට බඳු තාරුණ්‍ය නව මානය රැගෙන යමින් සැමට නිදහසේ ආගමක් විශ්වාසයක් මතයක් දැරීමට ඉඩ හතර උදා කර දෙමු.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව අනුව රටේ ඕනෑම පුද්ගලයෙකුට තමන් කැමති ඕනෑම ආගමක් බෙදීමේ අයිතිය ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකාව බහු සංස්කෘතික රටක් නිසා විවිධ ආගම් වලට අයත් විවිධ ජාතීන්ට අයත් ජනතාව මේ ජීවත් වෙනවා. මෙවැනි විවිධත්වයක ජනතාව ජීවත් වෙන රටක සාමය ගොඩනැගීමට නම් එකිනෙකා කෙරෙහි පවතිනා වූ අවබෝධය ඉතා වැදගත් වෙනවා. අන්‍යයන්ගේ ආගමික විශ්වාසයන් ගරු කිරීම, ඒවා ප්‍රශ්න කිරීම වැළකීම හා ඔවුන්ගේ ආගමික නිදහසට බාධා නොකිරීමෙන් වඩා සමකාමී සමාජයක් ගොඩනැගීමට හැකියාව ලැබෙනවා. ඉතින් තරුණ තරුණයන් වශයෙන් මේ කාරණාව අපි තේරුම් අරගෙන අන්‍යයන්ගේ ආගමික නිදහසට ගරු කරමින් සාමකාමී සමාජයක් ගොඩනැගීමට දායක වෙන්න.
இந்நாடானது பல் இனத்தவர்களின் பல வர்ணங்களால் ஜொலிக்கிறது. ஒவ்வொரு இனத்திற்கும் ஒவ்வொரு தனித்தன்மை இருக்கிறது. இந்த தனித்தன்மையால் இந்நாடு இன்னும் அழகு பெறுகிறது. அனைவருக்கும் தாம் விரும்பிய மதத்தை அல்லது நம்பிக்கையை கடைபிடிப்பதற்கு இங்கு உரிமையுண்டு. அதேபோல் அதற்கான சுதந்திரமும் இங்கு வழங்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. பல் இனத்தவர்களின் கலாச்சாரத்தை மதித்து அவர்களுக்கான முன்னுரிமையை வழங்குவதன் மூலம் மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு மாற்றத்தை ஏற்படுத்த இளைஞர் சமுதாயமான எம்மால் முடிந்த காரியமே. இன்றைய இளைஞர்கள் நாளைய தலைவர்களாகின்றனர். நாளைய தலைவர்கள் என்று சொல்வதை விட இன்றைய தலைவர்கள் என்று சொல்வதே
Thank you. Our next event is one of the main event for today. This is the announcement of the winners of the FORB art competition for 6 categories: poetry, essay, free verse, Facebook post, Twitter messages, and 4 short videos. Be Resilience did these FORB art competitions in 3 languages under the heading of human qualities such as forgiveness, tolerance, and trust for freedom of religion or belief.
මීළඟට එදී ඇත්තේ මෙම සමුළුවේ ඉතාමත් සුවිශේෂී අවස්ථාව වෙතයි. එනම් FORB නිර්මාණ තරගාවලිය. ජයග්‍රාහකයන් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරන මොහොත. මේ තරගාවලිය අප රචනා, කාව්‍ය නිර්මාණ, නිසුන්දැස්, Facebook post, Twitter message සහ short videos ලෙස ප්‍රධාන අංශ 6ක් යටතේ ඉංග්‍රීසි, සිංහල සහ දෙමළ යන භාෂා ත්‍රිත්වයෙන්ම පැවැත්වුවා. ඒ අනුව මෙහි තේමා වූයේ ආගමක් විශ්වාසයක් දැරීමට ඇති නිදහස උදෙසා සමාව දීම, ඉවසීම හා විශ්වාසය දැරීම යන්නයි.
எங்களுடைய அடுத்த நிகழ்வு இன்றைய நிகழ்வின் முக்கிய நிகழ்வாக உள்ளது. அதாவது எங்களுடைய ரெசிலியன்ஸ் நிறுவனத்தின் ஊடாக அறிவிக்கப்பட்டவாறு, அதாவது ஒரு மதம் அல்லது நம்பிக்கையை பின்பற்றுவதற்கான சுதந்திரத்துக்கான மன்னிப்பு, பொறுமை மற்றும் நம்பிக்கை போன்றன மனிதாபிமான குணங்கள் என்ற தலைப்பின் அடிப்படையில் நடைபெற்ற FORB ஆக போட்டியில் வெற்றி பெற்ற போட்டியாளரை அறிவிக்கும் தருணம் இது என்பதை கூறிக்கொள்வதில் பெருமிதம் அடைகின்றேன். இவ்வாக்கு போட்டியானது தமிழ், சிங்களம் மற்றும் ஆங்கிலம் என்ற மும்மொழி அடிப்படையாக கொண்டு அதனுடன் 6 பிரிவுகளை, அதாவது கட்டுரை, கவிதை, புது கவிதை, Facebook போஸ்ட், ட்விட்டர் மெசேஜ் மற்றும் ஷார்ட் வீடியோ போன்றவற்றை உள்ளடக்கி வயதில்லையின் அடிப்படையில், கால வரையறையின் அடிப்படையில் இறுதி நடைபெற்று முடிந்தது.
Technical team, we can't hear the sounds.
This is the time to announce the FORB creation competition winners in English medium. In essay category, the 3rd place goes to Lakshana Raj Mohan. The 2nd place goes to Jani Manjula Gunasinghe. And the 1st place goes to Muhammad Mira Sahib Fatima Nuha. For the poetry section, the 3rd place goes to W. Mitari Shakenika Jayasingha Bandara. For the 2nd place goes to Dayatiya Chandrakant. And the 1st place goes to Savinedri Singha. In free verse section, the 3rd place goes to Idusha Shantakumar. The 2nd place goes to WWM Hasin Salah Rishni Malisha. And the 1st place goes to Gayatri Vikramatilaka. In Facebook post section, the 3rd place goes to Abdul Sattar Fatima Shakia. The 2nd place goes to Hasin Salah Rishni Malisha. And the 1st place goes to Savinedri Singha. In Twitter messages section, the 3rd place goes to Muhammad Azmi Fatima Raihana. The second place goes to Hikma Rizwan. And the third place goes to Hasim Salah Rishni Malisha. In the short video section, the second place goes to Himidiri Devanna Bopage, and the first place goes to Navodya Kumari Ekanayaka. We convey our heartiest congratulations to all the winners.
FORB නිර්මාණ තරගාවලිය සිංහල මාධ්‍ය. රචනා නිර්මාණ තරගාවලිය තෙවන ස්ථානය අමාෂා ජයනි මහානාම. දෙවන ස්ථානය ලසිනි සිතාරා සේනාදීර. පළමු ස්ථානය අබ්දුල්ලුමාර් සහන් නෙත්මින. කාව්‍ය නිර්මාණ තරගාවලිය දෙවන ස්ථානය උඩුගොඩගේ දොන් රුවන්දිනී රොඩ්රිගෝ. දෙවන ස්ථානය සමරකෝන්. පළමු ස්ථානය බෙන්සරණි චන්ද්‍රසේන. නිසුදැස් නිර්මාණ තරගාවලිය තෙවන ස්ථානය හික්කොඩ ආරච්චිලාගේ කල්හාරේ කරුණාරත්න. දෙවන ස්ථානය වාසනා සඳමාලී තිසේරා. පළමු ස්ථානය PNDT වික්‍රමසිරි. ෆේස්බුක් පෝස්ට් නිර්මාණය දෙවන ස්ථානය HM දිලු ඉසුරින්දි. දෙවන ස්ථානය සදීප් චතුරංග විජයරත්න නානායක්කාර. පළමු ස්ථානය දිනාගනු ලබන්නේ ඉමාෂා මදුභාෂිනී දිසානායක. Twitter message දෙවන ස්ථානය අරුණ ශක්ති බැස්ටියන්. දෙවන ස්ථානය හේනක ආරච්චිලාගේ හර්ෂ නදීශන කරුණාරත්න. පළමු ස්ථානය දිනාගනු ලබන්නේ ඉෂ්ණි මදුෂිකා ජයවර්ධන. ජයග්‍රහණය කළ ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම රෙසිලියන්ස් අපේ උණුසුම් සුබ පැතුම්.
தமிழ் மொழி மூலமாக நடைபெற்ற FORB ஆக்கப்போட்டியில் வெற்றியை ஈட்டிக் கொண்டவர்கள் பற்றிய விவரம் இதோ. கட்டுரை போட்டியில் 3வது இடத்தை ஈசான் ஃபாத்திமா சஃப்னம், 2வது இடத்தை முகமது நசத் ஃபாத்திமா நுஸ்ரா, 1வது இடத்தை ஹைபர் அலி ஹசீமா பானு ஆகியோர் பெற்றுக் கொள்கிறார்கள். கவிதை போட்டியில் 3வது இடத்தை முகமது ஃபாயிஸ் ஃபாத்திமா ஃபஹ்ரியா, 2வது இடத்தை அகமது ஃபாத்திமா சஸ்வா, 1வது இடத்தை முகமது இக்ராம் ஃபாத்திமா ரசானா ஆகியோர் பெற்றுக் கொள்கின்றார்கள். புது கவிதை போட்டியில் 3வது இடத்தை தீபா தீசியா, 2வது இடத்தை அப்துல் பதூர்தி, 1வது இடத்தை சிவக்சனன் வினோத் ஆகியோர் பெற்றுக் கொள்கின்றார்கள். ஃபேஸ்புக் போஸ்டில் மூன்றாவது இடத்தை உதயகுமார் சர்மினி, இரண்டாவது இடத்தை தவராஜா வினித் சதீஃபன், முதலாவது இடத்தை மீரியா பிரான்சிஸ் சேவியர் ராகிதன் ஆகியோர் பெற்றுக் கொள்கின்றார்கள். ஷார்ட் வீடியோவில் மூன்றாவது இடத்தை சின்னதுரை துஷாந்தி, இரண்டாவது இடத்தை வரராசன் சோபனன், முதலாவது இடத்தை நதிஷா இளங்கோவன் ஆகியோர் பெற்றுக் கொள்கின்றார்கள். இத்துடன் இந்நிகழ்வில் பங்கு பெற்று வெற்றியை ஈட்டுக் கொண்ட போட்டியாளர் அனைவருக்கும் எமது ரெசிலியன்ஸ் நிறுவனத்தின் ஊடாக வாழ்த்துக்களை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றோம்.
In these whole categories, we as resilience team selected the best and the most popular creations within 3 mediums for prizes in every category. Now, this is the time to announce the winners of the best creations. In essay section, the third place goes to Muhammad Mira Sahib Fatima Nuha. The second place goes to Haidar Ali Hazima Banu. And the first place goes to Abdul Umar Sahannet Nina. In poetry section, the third place goes to Muhammad Ikram Fatima Rasana. The second place goes to Savin Nediri Singha. And the first place goes to Betmi Tatsani Chandrasena. In free verse section, the third place goes to Sivanyanam Vinodan. The second place goes to P.N. Deepthi Vikramasiri. And the first place goes to Gayatri Vikramatilaka. In Facebook post section, the third place goes to Maria Francis Sivia Gidan. The second place goes to Savin Nediri Singha. And the first place goes to Imasha Madhushani Disanayaka. In Twitter messages section, the third place goes to Henaka Rechige Harshana Dishana Karnaratna. The second place goes to Vasalavanna Kumudian Salage Hasin Sala Rishni Malisha. And the first place goes to Ishini Nipunika Javardhana. In short video section, the third place goes to Himidiri Diyamanna Bopage. The second place goes to Balasuryage Kasun Kumara Pereira. And the first place goes to E.M. Navodya Kumari Ekanayaka. We team Resilient convey our heartiest congratulations to all the winners. Now, This is the time to announce the winners of the most popular creations. In this section, the second place goes to Sadeep Chaturanga Vijayaratna Nanayakara for Facebook post. And the first place goes to KP Sevandi for short videos. Now we convey our heartiest congratulations to all the winners for your achievements. We appreciate your participation and dedication. Thank you.
රෙසලියස් තරගාවලියේ ජයග්‍රාහකයින්ට උණුසුම් සුබ පැතුම් පළ කරන අතර නිර්මාණ ඉදිරිපත් කළ ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම ස්තුතියි. විනිශ්චය මණ්ඩලය තෝරාගත් සියලු නිර්මාණ සඳහා වටිනා සහතික පත්‍රයක් සමග පොත්පිංචක් ප්‍රදානය කරනු ලබන අතරම එම පොත්පිංචය තුළ ඔවුන්ගේ නිර්මාණ අඩංගු වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ප්‍රශස්ත නිර්මාණයන්හි දෙවන ස්ථානය හා රුපියල් 5000ක මුදලක්ද දෙවන ස්ථානය සඳහා රුපියල් 7500ක මුදලක්ද ප්‍රථම ස්ථානය සඳහා රුපියල් 10000ක මුදලක්ද සමග වටිනා සහතික පත්‍රයක් පිරිනමනු කරනවා. එමෙන්ම ජනප්‍රියම නිර්මාණයන්හි දෙවන ස්ථානය සඳහා රුපියල් 5000ක මුදලක්ද පළමු ස්ථානය සඳහා රුපියල් 10000ක් සමග වටිනා සහතික පත්‍රයක්ද පිරිනමනු ලබනවා. නිර්මාණ ඉදිරිපත් කළ ඔබ සියලු දෙනා තවමත් ලියාපදිංචි වී නොමැතිනම් Zoom හි අපි chat box දාලා තියෙන link එක සහ Facebook comment section එකේ දක්වා තිබෙන link හරහා ලියාපදිංචි වන ලෙස ඔබ සියලු දෙනාගෙන් කාරුණිකව ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
போட்டியில் வெற்றி பெற்ற வெற்றியாளரின் கவனத்திற்கு எமது ரெசிலியன்ஸ் நிறுவனத்தின் ஊடாக அறிவிக்கப்பட்ட வெற்றியாளருக்கு வழங்கப்பட உள்ள பரிசு பொதிகள் பற்றிய விவரம் இதோ. சிறந்த ஆக்கப் பிரிவில் முதலாம் இடத்திற்கு 10,000 ரூபாவும் இரண்டாம் இடத்துக்கு 75,000 ரூபாவும் மூன்றாம் இடத்துக்கு 5,000 ரூபாவும் வழங்கப்பட உள்ளது. அத்தோடு பிரசித்தி பெற்ற ஆக்கத்தேர்வில் முதலாம் இடத்திற்கு 10,000 ரூபாவும் இரண்டாம் இடத்துக்கு 5,000 ரூபாவும் வழங்கப்பட உள்ளது. அத்தோடு அனைத்து போட்டியாளருக்கும் சான்றிதழ்கள் மற்றும் தங்களுடைய ஆக்கங்கள் பதிவுற்ற கையேடுகள் வழங்கப்பட உள்ளது என்பதையும் கூறிக்கொள்கின்றேன். அறிவிக்கப்பட்ட போட்டியாளர்களில் இதுவரை தம்மை பதிவு செய்து கொள்ளாதவர்கள் முகநூல் நேரலையில் உள்ள கமெண்ட் பாக்ஸில் அல்லது ஜூம் சாட் பாக்ஸில் உள்ள லிங்கின் ஊடாக தம்மை பதிவு செய்து கொள்ளவும். மேலும் எமது வெப் பேஜில் வெற்றியாளரின் பெயர்கள் பதிவு செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளது என்பதையும் கூறிக்கொள்கின்றேன்.
පුරා හොරා දෙකක් පැවති සමුළුවේ අවසානයේ වෙත අප කෙමින් ලං වෙමින් නැත. අද දිනම වැඩසටහන තුළින් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් වූ ජාත්‍යන්තරින් සියලු දෙනා වෙත අප හදවතින්ම සුබ පතමි. ඇමරිකා තානාපති කාර්යාලයේ නියෝජනය කරමින් පැමිණි ඩේවිඩ් කිස්ලින් මහතාත් මවරින් අහමඩ් මහත්මියත් ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුනයිටඩ් ආයතනයේ නියෝජනය කරමින් පැමිණි ඉතේන්ද්‍ර ගෝමස් මහත්මියටත් අප විශේෂ ස්තුතිය පළ කර සිටිමු. මෙම ව්‍යාපෘතිය අභිවෘද්ධිය සඳහා අනේකාකාරයෙන් සහාය පළ කළ සියලුම පාර්ශවයන්ට ස්තුතිය ප්‍රකාශ කරන අතර මෙතෙක් වේලා අප සමග රැඳී සිටි ඔබ සියලු දෙනාට අපගේ ප්‍රණාමය පොදු කර සිටිමු. තවත් සමගින් ඔබ හමු වන බලාපොරොත්තුව අදට සමුගනිමු. ඔබට ස්තුතියි.
இரண்டு மணி நேர மாநாட்டின் முடிவினை நாம் நெருங்கிக் கொண்டு இருக்கின்றோம். இந்த நிகழ்வின் மூலம் அறிவிக்கப்பட்ட அனைத்து வெற்றியாளருக்கும் எமது மனமார்ந்த வாழ்த்துக்களை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றோம். இத்திட்டத்தில் மேம்பாட்டிற்காக பல வழிகளிலும் பங்களிப்பு செய்த அனைவருக்கும் நன்றி தெரிவித்துக் கொள்வதோடு இந்நிகழ்வில் பங்களிப்பு செய்த அனைவருக்கும் எமது மனமார்ந்த வாழ்த்துக்கள். மற்றொரு சமூகம் பங்களிப்புடன் உங்களை சந்திக்கின்ற நன்றி. வணக்கம்.
Now we are slowly approaching the end of the summit that lasted for 2 hours. Heartiest congratulations to the winners who declared in today's program. I especially thank Mr. David Kissing and Ms. Maureen Ahmed from US Embassy, Ms. Jitendri Gomes from Sri Lanka Unites, to spending your golden time with us, and I would like to thank all for their outstanding support for their improvement of this project, and we pay our respects to all who participated. We say goodbye in the hopes of meeting you with another social mission. Thank you.